Taya, we've got to be good. You're listening to The Takeover, and you know it's got to be good when we're about to do one of these.
Wellness Wednesdays on The Takeover. Brought to you by station sponsor Kelli K Naturopath. Book your free intro call today at kellik.com.au.
Yes, she joins us right now over Zoom. Kelli K Naturopath. We're so glad to have you on here for another Wellness Wednesday. And tonight we're going to be talking about hay fever, because it's especially topical for good old spring season. And so, Kelli, can you tell us all about, you know, obviously it's quite a common thing that we all know about here and there, but it's good to be reminded of, you know, exactly what it is. So can you tell us what is hay fever and how is it triggered?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hay fever is also known as allergic rhinitis, which is the medical term. It's essentially an allergy to usually grasses and pollens. Some people do get hay fever all year round, not just in spring. So unfortunately for them, they suffer a little bit more than most. But that can also be an allergy to dust mites and animal fur, that kind of thing that tends to be not seasonal, but around all year long. And so, yeah, those are the triggers. And it's very common, and a lot of people are not having a fun time at the moment.
Yeah. And what are some of the symptoms that people might incur if they have hay fever or rhinitis?
Yeah, well, it's typically similar symptoms to what you get with a mild cold. So the runny nose, the itchy eyes, sneezing. If it's very severe, people might go on to have, you know, really bad sinus or sinus headaches. It might interfere with sleep because you have trouble breathing, and fatigue as well, actually, can be a big one, particularly when it's bad.
Yeah, wow. Those are lots of intense symptoms that people can often face when they have hay fever.
Yeah.
When we come back, we're going to chat to you more about if there's going to be if it's more prevalent in particular age ranges, or and talking about lifestyle, diet and nutrition and how that can help with those symptoms as well. So stay tuned for that here on Life FM. We're chatting with her very soon. Here on The Takeover with Daz and Lauren for your Wednesday. And it's Wednesday, which means we're chatting with Kelli K, the naturopath. And tonight we're chatting about hay fever. Hey, Kelli, how's it going?
I'm going very well, thank you. How are you going tonight?
Yeah, good. I'm keen to learn more about hay fever because it's something that I sometimes suffer from. So following on from our discussion earlier, what are some of the more prevalent age ranges or genders that this might showcase in more than others?
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be a huge difference between men and women. It tends to be fairly well across the board. Yeah. And children and adults can suffer alike. I would probably say it is, you know, the more severe hay fever would often be more so in adults.
Okay.
And people do say, or some people will notice that their hay fever can get worse as they get older.
Sure.
And this could just be changes to the immune system and, you know, perhaps other things that are also contributing to inflammation. Stuff makes things a little bit worse.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So it gets worse as you get older.
I'll definitely have to take note of that.
Yeah. That's it. But I guess...
Well, that's why you do things to help.
Yeah, that's absolutely. And speaking of doing things to help, when it comes to things like diet and nutrition and, living a certain lifestyle, what do you recommend, Kelli, to combat hay fever? What do you do? What can we do to, I guess, you know, be a bit, practical and keep caution of when hay fever attacks?
Yes, well, with hay fever, even though it's, an external like a pollen or wheatgrass that people are reacting to, that reaction creates a whole lot of inflammation in the body. So as far as diet goes, the more anti-inflammatory foods that you can incorporate into your diet, and these are things like herbs and spices, nuts and seeds, lots of fruits and vegetables, that's going to really help to reduce symptoms and prevent hay fever attacks. But the other side of that coin is wanting to avoid really inflammatory things. So I would say the big ones here are alcohol, sugar, and highly processed foods. So the same kind of things that are often implicated in all sorts of conditions when we're trying to reduce inflammation. And when I say sugar, I'm not talking about fresh fruits and natural sugars in vegetables and things, talking about, cakes, lollies, biscuits, and your processed foods, things that come in a packet that are heavily processed. Avoiding those is really important. The other thing I would say, like stress management actually is a big feature here because stress can increase histamine in the body. Histamine is one of the chemicals that is triggered when we have an allergic reaction, and that can contribute to and cause a lot of those symptoms that we experience. So you may notice that your hay fever is worse when you're really highly stressed.
Sure.
So really managing that stress is a big part of it. And then there's some, sort of natural compounds that have been looked at and studied. So vitamin C is often looked at because it has a role in managing that histamine response. But an interesting one is there's a couple of studies on ginger, like taking ginger extract and comparing that with the common antihistamines that you buy over the counter. And they found that the ginger was just as effective as those antihistamines, except that it has less side effects. So, if you're looking for an alternative, and particularly with antihistamines, they can lose their effectiveness sometimes over time, and they do have other side effects. So, that might be a good alternative for people to try.
Yeah, awesome. I love that. That's such a random thing, but it's cool that we can take natural foods and it have the same effect as the medication that we can buy over the counter.
That's so cool.
I'm definitely going to put that in the back pocket.
It's so cool.
Yeah, awesome.
It's awesome, yeah.
Kelli, thank you so much for joining us for another edition of Wellness Wednesday. And if you want to know more about Kelli and sort of the stuff that she does and the more information about hay fever and stuff like that, you can always give her a contact on her website, kellik.com.au. Thanks so much, Kelli, for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having me again.
Wellness Wednesdays on The Takeover, brought to you by station sponsor Kelli Naturopath. Book your free intro call today at kellik.com.au.